traditional media companies. You know, you and I are going to be talking with Catherine Weymouth at your conference, who's the publisher.
Catherine Weymouth is the publisher of the Washington Post, and Washington Post used to be the most dominant and important voice in politics, and we're going to put her next to Arianna, who's probably
But they're
one of them.
doing great work online, and they're taking it seriously, and they're integrating print and online. Lorenzo and I were talking last night about how here the major newspapers, Corriere della Sera and Repubblica here, are still keeping what they're doing online separate from what they're doing in print. For example, they have different advertising teams. That doesn't make sense. You got to integrate print and online.
Right.
And you got to, as advertisers, you know, you got to keep looking for new ways to interact with the audience. You know, we all know that online audiences don't like to be interrupted. But there are new ways to reach them. For example, we have more and more advertisers who use the skin, you know, to put the ad all around the page so that you can see the ad, but you can also interact with the page without being interrupted. Or Toyota did a campaign on the Huffington Post where, starting with me, since I drive a Prius, a hybrid car, I took a picture with my car, and then we invited our users to take pictures with their hybrid cars. So it became a very successful campaign that also allowed the users to interact with the advertiser.
Do you think advertisers are smart about this? It's still very slow, even in the United States, because we have huge online participation compared to the amount being spent. There's a drastic delta. People are still spending on television and newspapers, where nobody is watching. I mean, all the young people are now online, and they're not spending in the same way. What has to happen within the advertising business to get them moving? I mean, it's moving slowly there, but it's not.
It's 13% in the United States and 6% here. So there's obviously a long way to go, especially given how much lower the rates are online. There is still resistance to moving online, which is really surprising, especially given that you can measure the clicks online much better than you can with
maybe that's not such a good thing.
But it is pretty good when you see, especially, you know, Google has been very successful by using search with Google Ads, so that you know that your ad is going to be right next to what you're searching. There is still so much room for innovation.
Where does that come from? Does that come from you? The Huffington Post just got a large amount of investment in a very bleak economic environment. You got, how much money did you all?
We just raised another $25 million.
$25 million to do more investments in what you're doing. Obviously, people think this is where things are going. How do you get the advertising market there so that you become, you know, an advertising powerhouse, which is the goal? You have the audience, you have the interest, you have the content.
Last month was our best advertising month. So even in this environment, maybe perhaps because of this environment, when advertising in print seems relatively more expensive compared to how much companies want to spend in print, a lot more advertising is moving to the Huffington Post. Also partly because our non-political verticals, our living section, our style section, have really matured now and are being linked a lot and driving a lot of traffic to the site. So a lot of advertisers who don't want to advertise around politics, they're very happy to advertise on the style vertical or the living vertical or the entertainment vertical.
What happens then to newspapers? Are you the newspaper of the future, or organizations like yours the newspaper of the future? What happens to the New York Times, for example?
I actually am very confident that the New York Times will survive and
after
thrive.
You viciously attack them, but go ahead.
Well, no, I just think that they are. If you look at how much profit they made last year, you know, they made way over $1 billion profit. So it's not that they are not making a profit. There are certain expectations because they're a public company. That maybe if they were not a public company,
what is the newspaper, or I'm not even going to use the word newspaper because I don't read anything online. I don't read anything physically anymore, and I'm about to go completely digital because I find physical media almost antiquated.
repulsive.
Yes, I'm tired of it. And it's ecologically better and all sorts of reasons to do it. What are the key trends, do you think? We're going to finish up by talking about just a couple key trends. What are the most important trends going on in the United States that people here should be paying attention to as they think about how to reach people, how to get to people? Because you've done, how much have you spent on marketing at the Huffington Post?
Well, that's why it's so interesting that you're going to hear a speech about the word-of-mouth marketing, because we've spent $0 on marketing.
To get 17 million people.
To get 20 million.
20 million people.
Yes. So basically, we really believe in word-of-mouth. We believe in free media, using television, using radio, using conferences to get our brand out there. But also, as you all know here, you can now build a brand so much faster than you could years ago. I mean, you can build a brand in a year, while 10 years ago it took 10 years, and 20 years ago it took 20 years. So that's part of what anybody in this room looking to move more into new media should keep in mind.
And what are they? Give me 3 key trends and what you think the most important online company right now is going. 3 key trends people have to pay attention to.
Well, I think that the first key trend is the fact that younger people are living online. We cannot ignore that. The second key trend is that, as in any good relationship, you cannot be the only one doing the talking. You have to also be listening, and that means listening to your readers, to your users. And the third is that user-generated content can actually lead to breaking news. I mean, one of the stories we just ran 10 days ago came from a reader. It was an audio of the head of Morgan Stanley saying during a conference call that we're not going to be calling bonuses bonuses, we're going to be calling them retention awards.
Oh, okay.
So that came from a Huffington Post reader.
Right.
And it was just, again, another way to confirm how out of touch many of the CEOs are with what's happening.
And the critically important companies or technologies that I can say the iPhone, which is not just the iPhone, but the idea of portable computing. This is a high-performance computer, and this is a television station right here. These are key trends in media to me, is that this is all you need now for a lot of stuff, a lot of communications, a lot of information. What's key for you to finish up?
Well, right now, actually, I have fallen in love with the Kindle. I don't know if many of you know the Kindle.
It's from Amazon. It's a
from Amazon.
e-book reader.
You can put any number of books and newspapers on it and carry it with you on a plane or whatever and have everything there in your fingertips. That is my latest toy. But I think the flip here, I think that's incredibly important, because right now you can really have television right here. You can just create video that has the immediacy and the intimacy that works brilliantly online.
This is a thing called a flip camera. You should all get one. It's just $100. You take pictures and then you stick it into your computer, and I do all my reporting, my video on my site with just this completely. Nothing else, no other production. And finally, confident about the economic recovery or medium? I think panic is always a good option personally, but.
Confident in the medium and long term, but there are hard times ahead that we can, going back to the crisis and opportunity meme, we can use to actually build the economy of the 21st century.
Great. Thank you very much, Arianna.
Thank you.